Hello, welcome to the Hoopla Y'all show, where we have total circus animals over here. This is Brown. Brown, jump, jump. Yeah, okay. So we will be having some puppy cameos in here. Shiva's being nice and quiet and laying down behind me, but Brown might be wanting to play. Welcome, the Hoopla Y'all show. What do you ask what it is? It is health, humor, and hooping. Hooping with the hoops and health info, lots of good natural stuff, and humor because I like to be funny and I've been a cartoonist for 20 plus years, and humor's been in my blood. Developed skill and talent and all that kind of good stuff. So, anyway, so sometimes it doesn't come easy, but anyway, I try and make everything light and bright because that's how we can get through the serious stuff in life. So, join me along this little adventure ride. Tonight's theme is Gear Up. So this is going to be a fun one. They're all fun, aren't they? And we're going to try and keep it short. Let's see how that works. All right. So, and I think I have all the volumes off. A little technology glitch. So, but I think we're okay and good to go. All right. So, there are so many life changes going on right now. Life is going at a breakneck pace. And I told you last week on this is a weekly live show. I told you last week that I had some big announcements coming up. Let's see here. I can reveal one of those announcements, which was I did let you know that I created, I had a song for the World Hoop Day. It is created, so it's really cool. So I could even, whoa, okay, apparently I found the button on the chair that sets the height. That's a fun one. All right. So let's play you a little bit of that song. Ooh, where is it quickly? Okay, I don't know where it is quickly. Anyway, it's called Living in Step, and it's a really fun dance song. Billy DeVette, half of the Double Bills team, wrote that music and put it all together for me. And while my husband was working, so anyway, we have it all recorded. So look for the World Hoop Day dance to come very shortly. So I'm doing the World Hoop Day dance this year again, and this time we'll get it out nice and early to the world. Some good choreography. There will be some definitely fun parts that you can do your own thing in, and all kinds of good stuff. So, alrighty. So Gear Up. Why did we have Gear Up as the theme tonight? Well, first of all, because I like themes, and they go with the doggy tails. I like chaos, apparently. It was my decision to leave the door open because it's way more entertaining. That's part of the humor part of this show. Gear Up. So, when you have goals and stuff like that, sometimes to get to your goals, you need to gear up. So sometimes that means paring down, and sometimes that means getting the right tools for the right job type of thing. So all those good cliches. There's cliches for a reason because they're handy and useful. So with my major life changes, I will be able to announce the next new big one next week. It's in process right now, so it's in its like little seedling secrecy infancy, and so to keep it safe and protected, I need to keep it under wraps for the moment, but it will be revealed very shortly. So stay tuned. It's so exciting. So next step on the life journey path. It's big. It's huge. Okay. Anyway, I just like saying that because it's a funny way to say it. Not following anything in particular. Okay. So girl with tools. I am a girl with tools. Okay, I admit it. And this is a funny thing because funny little story. My husband had gotten me a gift card to a department store one time for my birthday, and I was like, "What do I do with that?" And he was like, "This is great," And I'm like, almost most normal people would like that, and go get clothes and go get shoes and all that kind of good stuff. And then he quickly learned, and almost every holiday ever since, he gets me a Home Depot card. And he knows that I smile ear to ear with a Home Depot card. It started a while back when I was a single girl with a home, and I had to fix things on my own. And so what I found out that I really got into, especially power tools, those were really fun. So I'd be out there, and I especially like the battery operated ones. Those are really fun, like the cordless drills and stuff like that. I've since graduated to even other power tools. I haven't gotten into air compressor stuff just yet, but I just love my power tools. And of course, you guys probably know that I do make my own hoops, so that requires a lot of tools. Now, how did I get into this kind of thing? How did I gear up originally? Originally, I was given this impetus from my grandparents. My grandfather, my grandmother, I got a lot of my cool cooking skills, and then like I call my stuff adventure cooking, performance art cooking, because I do different things every time. But from my grandfather, he had this really cool workshop downstairs, down in the basement, back in Chicago, Illinois, and actually Park Ridge. And first of all, it's freaking hot and humid in Chicago in the summer. So hanging out in a nice cool basement is a fabulous thing. So it was a great excuse to do that. But he taught me a lot of stuff about building things and tools, and I was obsessed with just making things. And I even made like little miniature things. So they weren't like high craftsmanship kind of anything. But then I remember in high school I took a shop class, which included wood and acrylic, and I don't remember what else we did, but I still have those projects. It's kind of like making your macaroni picture, and when you're a kid in grade school. But anyway, I still have some of those things, and I just love them. They're fond memories, and learning how to use those tools was really cool. Whenever you're gearing up, you kind of need to learn the jargon of what you're getting into. So I don't care what you're doing. It could be calculus. There's a specific terminology for all of that. It could be hooping. There's a terminology for that. There's all these weird words like escalator and wedgie and rolls and flow and current, and it's like, what is this vocabulary? So part of the gearing up is learning about it and learning the vocabulary of it. But also, gearing up is just getting that inspiration of what you want to do and finding your goals and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, my grandfather, not only did he inspire me with his tools and stuff like that, but I got to inherit what was left of his tools. So he ended up, I was really mad about it at the time, and now since I've gone through like a lot more of life, now I understand why he did it, and I have an appreciation for what he did and why. And that was, he donated a whole bunch of his tools to a place called Maryville, and it was a place in Illinois that helped youth that were, I don't know if they were troubled, but there were a lot of kids that needed some help, and he would volunteer his time sometime and teach them how to use tools and stuff like that. So he took a whole bunch of his tools and donated them without asking me or whatever. I was like the heir in line to everything, and I was hoping to inherit all of those tools. I did not inherit all of those tools, but I did inherit some of them, and so those are prized possessions to me. As most people know, when they get tools, they're pretty cool things. And like, my dad had gotten me in high school, right before I went off to college, he had gotten me this toolbox, a set of Craftsman tools. And I thought, I was like a teenage girl, and I was like, why? I'm going off to college, this great experience and stuff like that. Why would I need tools? And he's like, you're going to thank me for these later. And oh my goodness, I thank my dad like all the time, every time I use my awesome Craftsman tools. First of all, they're quality tools. And then second of all, one of the things he made me do with them is he said, before this leaves the building, you have to engrave your name on every single tool. So, and if you ever have had tools and you loan them out, you know why you engrave your name on them. And so like now I'm very touchy about my tools, so they all must go back in their place because I use them all the time. So they must, they need to be organized and be where they need to be. So that gearing up, those tools, those are very handy, and the right tool for the right job, extremely handy. When I got my first robo grip, I didn't know what that was. It's basically like a wrench, but it adjusts. And the cool thing about it is you don't have to break your hand to use this wrench. It has a nice, soft, rubbery grip that grips and moves the stuff around that you need. So you might be able to like loosen a pipe or do whatever you might need to do with that. And like an ex-boyfriend had gotten that for me, and again I was like, yeah, well, what a romantic thing to give me, thanks, and then I was like, this is like my favorite tool ever. So he's long gone, but I still have that robo grip, and that robo grip is awesome. I'm trying to even remember what his name was. I don't remember, but I know the Robo Grip. It's a really great tool. Anyway, so I can admit it, I'm a girl with tools, and I love my tools. So, all right, so here's a few of the necessities that, well, a few of the steps that I would say about the gearing up. First, you need to determine your goals. So, for instance, like in hooping, when I do a complimentary hoop consultation, so before I handcraft a pro hoop for somebody, I basically like interview them with some small questions, and then get a little bit more personal into like what they're really wanting and needing. Like, are you wanting to perform? A lot of people don't. They just want to practice, but maybe they want something pretty, but they want something, it's like, where are you going to be using this? How are you going to be using this? And what do you want to achieve with this? Hi, Dana. So, everybody that's joined, thank you so much for watching. So, what do you want to achieve, like, for instance, with your hoop? So, there are lots of hoops to pick from. You can see on the wall that I have several just right there. That's just a small pile that I don't want to say it's just a display pile, because there's a fire hoop in there. There's somebody's hoop that I made and they pay for it, and they haven't ever picked it up yet, and it's been many, many months. You would think they would come pick it up because it's a Bronco hoop and it's a special hoop. Anyway, and then I have some hoops up there. Some are small, some are big, some are different tubings. Yeah, and different tapes. All of those go with the type of goals that you're trying to achieve. So depending on, let's say, for instance, if you're hooping in Colorado or in a colder climate where it's cool in the evenings or mornings or whatever, maybe polypro isn't the tubing for you, because it has a tendency, it can crack or break in cold temperatures. So that, even though it's springy and light, I would recommend that you go with HDPE instead. So again, gearing up, right tool, right job for your goals and your needs. For something outside, I would get something pretty durable. If you're going to be dropping it on the gravel and hooping with rocks and on concrete and stuff like that, don't get a pretty taped hoop. It's going to be expensive, and you're going to toast it so quickly. So get something that's perhaps a colored tubing, so that it has some pizzazz to it. Line it with some grip tape. Maybe put a line of the tape that you can put on there. If you want something shiny or something colorful or whatever, put that on there, knowing that you might need to replace it. So, but the more nicked up it gets, it's going to be a little harder to replace that tape. So, type in your comments. I am responding to comments that are coming in live from the Facebook page. We're broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. So the YouTube channel, I can't see live right this second, and I'm not quite sure how to get the comments yet. I'm still learning all this technology and trying to do 2 feeds simultaneously and live and all that kind of stuff and get them all up. So hit the thumbs up, hit the likes, hit the hearts, hit all that stuff. Recommend this, share it, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so we've determined your goals, what you need. Are you doing a lot of, and again, I'm using hooping as an example. You can use anything, whatever your life goal may be. Hooping is the example I'm using here. Let's say, are you working on doing off-body hooping? That might take a different type of hoop to achieve those skills that you want to build up in that sense. Or are you doing some on-body hooping? On-body means the hoop is rotating around your body mainly, and so that might take some different skills. So as I've demonstrated before, if you've followed me at all, or if you're joining me right now, different hoops in different levels, you might have to practice differently. So, and when I say practice differently, I mean just practice a lot. So it's taken me a long time to go from a super big hoop to a super small hoop. And again, I make pro hoops, so I don't sell the cheap store, toy store, crappy ones. So those can bend and kink, and I can show you what those do. They're bad. I have bought them, I've purchased them, I've taped them with pretty and expensive tape. It doesn't, it's kind of, it's the saying, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. Yeah, so, get good tubing, use good tapes and stuff like that. And if you can, get a hoop from a pro hoop maker. It keeps us in business. It helps out our industry. And, I just even took a picture I was at a thrift store, and they had a whole bunch of weighted hoops, and they were bumpy, and they had magnets in them. And I'm like, oh, this is one of the things I advise in my complimentary hoop consultation is, I understand there may be a time and place for those, and usually it's when you're beginning. But those, if you're getting into tricks, the weighted hoops, they literally have weight to them, so they might be like anywhere from 1 to 5 pounds, I highly do not recommend it because it's overkill. You don't need it, and it can actually hurt and bruise you. So just go with something else. Go with a good pro hoop. So anyway, right tool for the right job. Okay. So first you're determining your goals, and then you're deciphering what you want versus what you need. Okay. And in the current situation that I'm in, doing this major life change, you have what you really, you have kind of like an A, B, and C column. So what you need, what you have to have, and then what you want, what would be really nice to have, and then you kind of have your, oh, this is a great dream. If this pops into my lap, this would be lovely. But it's not a necessity, and you might have to pay more or do more for the middle two categories, for column B and column C. But column A is your needs of what you really need. So, like, for instance, you might need a PE tubing that's nice and heavy and some basic gaffer tape on it, and that's all you need to it. And then what you want is something with a little bit of sparkle to it. So you might want a metallic tape with it, and what you would really love is pie in the sky, not even pie in the sky, but, as an alternate thing. And this may be what you need. Maybe you travel a lot, so maybe having it your hoop collapsible for you might be a necessity for you. So that might be in the A column. So you have to determine your wants versus your needs. So needs versus wants. Column A, B, C. So, and then the third thing that about gearing up is you want to pick your path or make your plan. So I think of this, there's a couple different approaches, and this is just my theory of things. So you can throw this in with, all the other things you've come across, learned, your experiences, but maybe this might help you of this perspective. And there's two approaches that I think of, and one is do it once, do it right. So this is great if you want to, and there's another saying out there like measure twice, cut once, kind of like a piece of wood. You buy an expensive piece of wood at an expensive supply. So if you measure twice, make sure you have it before you cut it. You don't cut the wrong measurement. So that's what that theory is. That is really good, but this can also get you in the cycle of perfectionism. So if you are trying to do it right, and you don't actually get into actually acting on it and trying it anyway. So maybe you cut and you cut wrong, and maybe you have to go buy this piece again. But at least you started the project, as opposed to looking at a thing. I have literally I have a woodworking project downstairs that has been sitting there for years, and I designed these plans as back when I was into martial arts and I was collecting weapons, when I did weapons stuff with martial arts. So I collected cool swords, wushu, Chinese broadsword, and the practice swords, which are different than the performance ones. So the performance ones, again, much like hooping, you have like the performance ones, which are bright, shiny, but you don't use them for every day for practice. So you use your other things for practice. And then, but I never did complete this. It was a whole unit to hold all of my implements. So whether it be, nunchucks or the practice knives, or the eskrima. That's the double sticks, the Filipino double sticks, short sticks, the bow staff, a lot of things that I was into, and it was really nice. It was beautiful, but it's still sitting downstairs in a wood project, so that thing's never going to get done, really, at this point. But so that's the thing of the do it once, do it right. I was going to measure, and I have these beautiful plans that I had created. But if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. So even if I would have started it, and even if it looked kind of like, whatever, all the dowels to hold up the tools, it's not done, period, basically. But I came across another theory, and this I came across after my mom had passed, and I was dealing with a huge quantity of stuff. So I had to clear out her house, and first of all, it was sad. My mom was my best friend. But also the quantity of stuff was incredible. She had a much bigger house than I did, and all of that stuff from her bigger house came to my smaller house, and the math does not add up on that. So I was in overwhelm with all the stuff, and I even had a storage unit, but the stuff went down the driveway. It was up to the ceiling in the garage. It was out underneath the front tree. It was ridiculous, and it was in every single room of the house, floor to ceiling boxes. I kid you not. It was really rough. So the first year, all I did was clear out just on the inside of the house. So I never even touched the storage unit. And then after a year, my dad had paid for the storage unit. He goes, "Is the stuff in the storage unit worth $1,600?" I'm like, "I don't know. I haven't even gotten to that yet." And he's like, "Okay, well, you got a month." And so I had to clear out everything from the storage area. So even though my house had just finally gotten livable, I had to clear out the storage area and basically floor to ceiling boxes again in many of the rooms. But I learned how to like quickly clear things out. But how I got through some of that, because when you're sad, it's really hard to get rid of things that are precious to you, that are mementos. But this is a saying that I used, which was just for now. Just for now, I'm going to do this part. So this might not be its final place that it goes, but just for now, I'm going to do this. And so that became kind of like I don't want to say battle cry, if you will, but a way of getting through it, and just getting through some tough stuff, and knowing that it didn't have to all be perfect, but I got started and I got through a lot of it. And I ended up getting rid of truckloads and truckloads and truckloads, and I'm still getting rid of truckloads of stuff and giving it away. I've sold a lot of that stuff, Craigslist, eBay for a little bit, Craigslist for a lot of it. But mostly donation. And I had a lot of friends that got a lot of things. So, people would be like, "Do you have one of these?" And I'd be like, "Yes, I have 3 of those." And it became very exciting the first time that somebody would ask me, "Do you have one of, do you have this?" And I'd be like, "No, I don't. I don't have that anymore." Like, literally, at one point, I had 5 couches in the living room. So I think I had 1 or 2 that were out, and then I had like 3 or 4 that on a roof, and I was like, "That's not going to make it down the street." But anyway, it was pretty funny. I'm like, "Well, good luck with that." Okay, so as long as it's out of my hair, and I, need to kiss it goodbye, let it go, and and then clear up the space. And another interesting space story on that. My husband had given me a little. He's really helped me clear out some of the stuff and given me a fresh perspective on stuff. And so we had an estate sale one time, estate sale, garage sale, because also when he closed up his shop, or moved his shop and then moved everything into the house that we are in now, but I've been in like 25 years now, to free up some space so he had room to be in, that we might one day park a car in the garage. We were having this estate sale, and I remember he was like, "This dresser," it was my grandmother's dresser. It's nice solid wood, beautiful dresser, but a little too much. I couldn't fit it in the house. So it needed to go, and I was okay with, moving it along. He's like, "That's worth $35. And I was like, So, I thought about that, and I wasn't comfortable with the $35. I knew that, I was going to accept any offers that I got. I didn't say no to anybody. If somebody offered me $5 for something, I took it, because the object of the game was to clear out space. It wasn't to make the highest dollar on everything. So I did have my priorities straight there. But what I ended up doing was listing the dresser on Craigslist, and the next morning I had 2 women who showed up, before the sale even started, and because I said, "All right, first person with cash in hand and a truck, because you have to get it out of here. I'm not saving it for you, so you have to move it." And so had 2 women that were like, I'm like, "First person here, cash, exchange, take the couch, take the dresser." So I was so proud of myself, because I ended up getting $125 instead of $35 for it. So I was like breaking my hand, patting myself on the back, thinking, that was a little bit more money, and that's really helpful. And I felt better about releasing that into the universe because of that, because it had more value. Not that it wasn't about getting the top dollar value, but interestingly enough, I said, "Oh, look, I got more than the $35, so I got, more than that." And so I was calculating the value of that, and then my husband's like, "No, that's not right." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You just freed up $1,000 worth of space." And I was like, "Whoa." It's just kind of mind blown type of thing, because it was true. you know, when you pay for a storage unit, especially if you're paying for over time to store, you know, stuff you don't use, um, you know, it's better to move it along, you know, even if it's to donate it because you're paying to store it. And if you're not going to use it, of course. So anyway, those were some of my lessons with just moving things along. So again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, you know, sometimes gearing up to do the thing you want might mean paring down. So getting rid of the things you don't want so that you can get the things that you do want to put in its place. So what, again, and that has to do with your goals, your wants, your needs, and your desires. So what do you really want? What makes your heart sing? You know, does the things in your space make you, do the things in your space make you happy? Like, for instance, this picture of the cherries behind me is, oh, there's my little hoop it out. There we go. We're just the camera angle on that one. This picture of the cherries is this really cool piece of artwork that was in my husband's office. And he's like, you know, do you want the cherries? I'm like, I want the cherries. I want the cherries. And then I actually ended up designing my office around this piece of artwork. So, and I'm really happy with the redesign of my office. So I have the salt lamp behind me, the Himalayan sea salt lamp. I have this cool Hooper art picture. She's nude. I don't necessarily have nude stuff out, but this artist, Della, is a local artist, and he's like world famous, and he just happens to be local in Colorado, and he does this really weird, trippy, cool, beautiful, brilliant artwork with universal galactic things, and you know, this one happens to have a hooper with almost like an LED hoop, so it's really cool and stuff like that. So you know, these like little elements are things that I love to have around me, so those make me happy, they make my heart sing. You know, having my hoops around, having that, there's banners stuck inside those hoops, not stuck inside, it's tied inside from last year's Colorado World Hoop Day, and we'll be doing that again this year on October 6th. So put it on your calendar if you don't have it on there already, and it will be celebrated all over the world. So not just Colorado World Hoop Day, but World Hoop Day. It's amazing. It's great stuff. So yeah, so that we have ours, the Colorado one, which is going to be one of the biggest celebrations probably in the world, perhaps. Hey, feel free anywhere that you are in the world, organize a huge event. Beat us. That's okay. That's all right. We want to have as many people out there doing hoop, flow, all that kind of good stuff, sharing the flow community love, the art, the circus arts, all of that kind of good stuff, that community. Do that wherever you're at. There will be the World Hoop Day dance, so, and you know, you can probably do it with other flow props as well, or just dance it. So you don't have to have a hoop if you don't want to, but anyway, we're getting together as a world community. You can get together as a group of 1 or group of 2 or group of 50 or group of 100, group of 1,000, however, you know, make a flash mob out of it, you know, keep it fun and interesting. Gear up for it, and gearing up means also putting it on your calendar, marking it on your calendar. So, and gearing up is, you know, that's part of like that number 3 step was pick your path, make your plan. You know, set a timeline for yourself, what you need to do. For our World Hoop Day event, I'm on the planning committee for that, and like literally we get done with planning and then we start all over again for the next year, like almost right afterwards, because we do kind of like a decompression where we kind of evaluate how things went, what we can improve upon, and you know, what may not have gone as great as we would have wanted to, surprises that came up, happy surprises, and you know, things that could be done better. So you always learn from stuff, and that's also in the just for now category of like do it, just you know, run by the seat of your pants and get out there and do it. So yeah, so hopefully some of these tips will help you with your gearing up, getting your goals in gear, and doing it. All right, so shall we get some laughter on and get some hooping on? So I'm going to, in my office here, it's a small space, so I'm going to use my smaller hoop. Let's see here. This is a cool thing. So speaking of gearing up, this is a smaller hoop. I recommend, especially if you're doing some on-body hooping, get something bigger. You know, big PE hoop might be great for, if you're an adult and starting out, that might be a great place to start. Again, if you want a complimentary hoop consultation, give me a call, contact me, connect with me, and I can do that virtually with you or over the phone, at least head you in the right direction and give you some advice. And also the care and feeding of your hoops. So just because you have and spent money on a nice hoop, if you leave it in your hot car or cold car, you're gonna destroy it. So don't do that. Treat it like you would puppy, kitten, baby, is my advice to you. So if you wouldn't leave any of those living heartbeat items in your hot or cold car, don't leave your hoop in there too. It's, you know, I mean, it's plastic. It molds, it bends, it, you know, tape can get gooey, it can dry out, it can do all kinds of stuff. The heat and the cold affect both of them. Anyway, so on that note, I'm using a smaller hoop. This happens to be a collapsible hoop. So this is, oh, actually it's that one. Okay, cool. So, and I personally love this kind because, and this is personal preference, so when you're gearing up, you can do what you like, but this is called a friction fit connector. So you hear that little sound there, yeah, so wait, I'll do it without my mouth sound effect. Okay, so it like is literally held together with friction. You can also use a push button connector. A lot of people prefer those because that way your hoop won't do something wonky where it turns like that. So, but anyway, I like the collapsible hoops. This is an HDPE hoop. It's a nice thin hoop. It's a 5/8 inch tubing. I like this because it's easier on my hand. Again, my personal preference. This is what I gear up with. But also I've learned to use a smaller hoop because one of my goals, wants, needs, all that kind of good stuff was to hoop in a smaller space. So including using my office as a studio and also hooping at the Broncos games and things like that. So using a small hoop is good. And plus, like, seriously, this is a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. All the cool kids were doing it. And when I say cool kids, I mean all the younger people that are like half my age and all that kind of stuff in the flow community. So, you know, they're all using the small hoops. And we have a Fab over 40 hoop community that is awesome. We're not all about the small hoops. We're about whatever hoop size works for you. And your own personal progress. So it's not about showing off. It's not about anything. It's just, you know, whatever your personal goals are. So, and we all cheer each other on. And yeah, you have to be of a certain age to get in there. So we have let in a couple of younger people, but there's pretty special people to be able to get in if you haven't hit the 40 mark yet. Anyway, so for instance, I'm doing a isolation here, and two-handed or one-handed, and let's just go over that move real quick and give you like a little tips and tricks for this. So what I like to do is start over at the side. Notice that I'm keeping my arm out nice and straight and sturdy. So I'm going to start over at the 9 o'clock position. It could be, depending on how you're watching this, the 3 o'clock position for you. So think of quadrants on a clock. So top and bottom, which be your 12 and 6, and then 3 or 9, depending on which way. So you can do this with either hand and in either direction on both sides. So this is an exponential thing. So just get the concept of this first because you can change up all of these elements. So I'm starting over at the side, arm out nice and straight. And then I'm going to drive down the bottom of the hoop, drive down to the 6 o'clock position, halfway through the quadrant. And then I'm going to drive back up. And I'm going to try and keep that arm nice and straight as much as possible. Now here's the tricky part. Everybody can do this driving down what I call the bottom half of the smile. So let's say, here's my connector here where you can see this part of the tape. Let's say I'm directly across from here so you can see the quadrant. Drive. Notice the hoop has changed position here. So, and at first, this is going to be a little hard on your shoulder because you're going to tense up the very muscles that you need to relax and relax to ease up on this move. So you're going to drive down the bottom of the hoop, drive the bottom of the circle. You need to go full circle on this. So as opposed to this move where the hoop is rotating around your hand, this one is your hand is rotating around the hoop. And you're supposed to make it look like your hoop is staying in space. So yeah, that's what that's supposed to look like. And then you have ghosting, isolations, and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, just for the basic isolation, back to this. So drive down the bottom part of this hoop. I call it the smile part. Think of your hoop as like a steering wheel. So when you're in your car, in your steering wheel, you cannot do this with your steering wheel, right? You can't because it's on a steering column. So it means it's twisting around this axis point. So your center axis point, it needs to do this. So much like your steering wheel can't do this, in an isolation, ideally, you want this to just be nice and smooth like so. So drive down the bottom part of this. So this is a control move. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get here and you're going to rainbow over the top. So you drive down this portion, so you're just controlling this move here. Drive, 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 drive. Try and keep that shoulder down. You might want to bend your arm and all that stuff, but try and keep this nice and straight. It'll make for a nice line. And this will be a little easier when you start going at a little bit of speed, but do try and keep this as a slow movement, because it's going to give you really good practice. And it's a very good tip that I got from Dustin Hubble, who is a hooper out there who does really amazing isolations. There's another guy out there named Pokey, and if you want to see his videos, he does some amazing, mind-blowing isolation stuff. Yeah, a lot of hearts on that. Y'all know who Pokey is, and you know who Dustin Hubble is. So, and if you don't know, please go look these people up, because they're really fabulous. I'll try and put the links up in the YouTube page and on the website, on the Hoopla webpage. Okay, so drive, 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 down the bottom, and then you're going to rainbow over the top, which means you're going to take this hand, go up and over, and reach over. So, drive down the bottom, up and over the top. Now, what happens is most people do this. So I'm going to, actually I'll do it so, and you'll see the consequences that happens. Most people try and take their hand from this position and go straight over for this and do this. That's what happens, is your hoop drops in space because you didn't do this part of the rotation, the top rainbow part of the rotation. So the arm has to go down, 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 up, 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 over. Down, 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 up, and over. So you're going to release the hand from here. It's going to roll on the back of the hand and re-grip over to the other side. So first you're going to hit the quadrants, but then as you start doing this from this quadrant, instead you're going to kind of cheat it at the 10 and 2 position. So 10 and 2 up here. So here, here, and then drive, 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 drive. Rainbow over the top. Drive, 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 drive. Rainbow over the top. Drive, 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 rainbow over the top. That's a one-handed isolation. The two-handed is pinky to pinky, or I'm sorry, thumb to thumb, drive, 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 drive down the bottom. Then you get to a point where I always ask people in my class, which hand is uncomfortable when you keep moving this in that circular position? And they're like, this one. So you release that hand, you re-grip, and go pinky to pinky over the top. Over the top, drive, 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 drive. Now which hand is uncomfortable? And it's the bottom hand if you get to a certain point. You know, like the top hand is okay, but you're going to release that hand and then re-grip. Thumb to thumb, drive it down the bottom. Pinky to pinky, rainbow over the top. Thumb to thumb, pinky to pinky. Thumb to thumb, pinky to pinky. And of course, you can, whatever you do in one direction, you can do in the other direction too. So on this one, you can take this slower or faster. But you want to try and keep your isolation really clean. What that means is it's not bouncing around in space or around the plane. So you're keeping within that plane, and it just magically looks like it's moving. When you have a solid taped hoop, you almost don't even know that it's moving. On this one you do, because I have a little tape where the connector is. So you see that the hoop is moving the whole time, and it's not just me doing an illusion like, oh, what's the hoop doing? Nothing. Yeah, it's doing something. But when you have a spiral hoop, for instance, like this, then you can see what the pattern is doing. So you can see that the pattern is turning. So when I use a smaller hoop, it's a little harder to control that circle. So this will keep you nice and honest. With the two-handed isolation, it's a lot easier. But Pokey uses a small hoop, and he's like a 6-foot guy, over 6 feet probably. And this thing, you would think you think it's like just pinned in space, because he's moving all around it, and it's not moving at all as he's doing all of his stuff. I'm doing a bad imitation of the amazing things that he does, but go check out his videos. Again, I'll put the link up for that. Cool. Hi, Reba. Thanks. And so, yeah, try the isolations, one-handed and two-handed. Whatever you do on one hand, don't just work one side and your favorite side, but work the other side as well. So same thing, start at the side, go to the bottom, go to the side, and then rainbow over the top. Down, 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 rainbow over the top. Whoops. Down, 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 rainbow over the top. Down, 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 down. So drive down the bottom of the hoop, rainbow over the top. Drive down the bottom of the hoop, rainbow over the top. Same thing, rainbow over the top, drive down the bottom. So you can see that you can do this in either either direction with the hands. So either way, double, reverse. So give that a try. Again, one-handed and two-handed isolations, nice and fun to try. Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground in our gearing up. I want to end it with a laugh out loud laughter yoga kind of thing, because I want to say it's been a hard week. I've been traveling all week, and so today is actually my first day back home, and it's been a very busy trip. And then today was psychotically busy in the catch-up mode, and then the finishing up the things that we needed to do with this trip. So again, exciting news. Hopefully next week that I'll be able to announce it, but I'll just tease you with it now. So anyway, we're going to do this as a little dance. So if you want, get up with me, and we're just going to do this as a laughter yoga dance. So we're just going to laugh, and it's just funny. So hopefully you can laugh at me if you want. That's okay. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. So, but you can laugh with me or at me if you want. So anyway, but we're going to go for, let's see here. Let's see if we can go the whole minute of laughing. Ready? And it's a fake it till you make it laughter. You're going to find out how long a minute is. Stretch it out. Jazz hands. We're almost at 30 seconds. Are you kidding me? Keep laughing. Still going. It's really good for your abs. Laughing and hooping. Okay, there we go. All right. So that is our laughter yoga exercise for today to end our show with. At the end of laughter yoga exercises, you may recall, and if you don't recall, because you're just joining us here for the first time, this is what we do. Take our hands together, nice and wide and big, and we go, very good, yay, and we do that twice. Ready? Very good, yay. Very good, yay. So, all right, so I want you to listen to the replay on this if you like. I really appreciate that. Please like, share, go to the web page, sign up for the emails. I promise I'll get some emails out at some point here. I will gear up to do that. I have all these cool tools, and I'm like anxious to try them. I tried a new video editing tool last week and actually got my 1-minute tutorial that I normally just post up on Instagram, because it had new bells and whistles to it. I was actually able to get it posted to YouTube as well. So, and I see the viewership is good on that. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Hip the Hoopla YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and join us live here on Monday nights, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. And let's see here, what else? I think that's it. Practice. Gear up, go for your goals. Thank you so much for joining me. Peace out, rock on. Hoop love, y'all. Bye.